All right. Hey, you guys. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. My name is Noelle Cruz. I'm a presidential diamond with It Works Global. You guys have been with this company for 7.5 years. And over my years, Denise has obviously been one of the people that I have most admired. And for those of you who are brand new and have no idea who Denise is, she is what we call a black diamond with It Works. And that means that she has made $100,000 minimum per month for 6 consecutive months to reach that rank, right, Denise? And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But she's a wife, she's a mom, she's an author. You're like the dream life coach. That's what I like to call you. So I am super, super excited to hear from you. So hey, Denise, how are you?
Yay, thanks for having me. Sorry I was on a few minutes late. I made my children's bed.
Well, that's the mom.
So I was like, I cannot tuck you in. Go brush your teeth. And now I hear them, and we'll see how that goes.
I locked my door. It's fine. I totally understand. So can you tell everyone, because I know we have a lot of newbies on, we've had a ton of people join over the last few months. Can you just start by just sharing your story with us?
Absolutely. So I have been on this journey for over 13 years. I got started in 2007. Now remember, this is pre-Facebook, social media, pre-smartphones. I had a flip phone. Like you could hardly text on it with like the keyboard. And we did a lot of belly to belly in the beginning. Prior to It Works, I was a clinical psychologist, and I got my master's in clinical psychology from Wheaton College, which is right outside Chicago. Got my first job at a local community mental health, working with Medicare and Medicaid clients, most likely non-insured, really, just a kind of a difficult population, a lot of addiction, a lot of trauma, a lot of my clients were always in and out of jail. It was a really heavy position to be in. And although I had clients that I absolutely adored, I was overworked, underpaid, and I felt like this desire that I had to impact and change the world slowly started to die. So I feel like I got my spark, I call it, to go into clinical psychology when I was a camp counselor. I worked in Asheville, North Carolina for 2 summers doing home repair ministry. And I led the groups that would come and like lead the youth group leaders and the youth groups, during the site that for their week. And then I spent 2 summers in New York working with New York City foster kids. And it was those service projects and that experience where I was like, oh my gosh, I want to help people grow. I saw these kids, even in Asheville, the families we worked with, and then of course in New York City, the children that we worked with. And I thought, these kids have so much love, so much life to give, and they don't even know it. And I thought psychology was my way to help people really understand just how awesome they are. So I get my first job, right? And I'm so excited. If you've ever felt that spark of like, this is what I'm supposed to do, I want to see a spark in the comments below. Like, that's the thing, you guys, when you know that you're doing what you're supposed to do, time goes by fast. You're excited about it. You feel like your gifts are being used. You're impacting the world. Like, you could do it all day long. And that's what I experienced throughout my camp years. And so I thought, oh my gosh, psychology is the way to go. Like, I know that this is how I'm going to best serve the world. Okay, so I get my first job. And these big dreams and these big hopes that I had really slowly started to die. And I started to think things, well, I guess this is just my lot in life. I guess everybody hates their job. Is the grass really greener on the other side? At least here I know the paperwork. And just to give you an idea, clinical psychology sounds cool, but my starting salary was $35,000 a year. And 5 years later, when I finally left, I was at $38,000 a year. And this is with a master's level degree. So working for the government does not allow you to make great money, just in case anyone's confused about that. And so needless to say, overworked, underpaid, working with really heavy clients, and really starting to feel that spark that I had start to dim. And that's important, because I think so many people, hopefully you've had that spark before, but it can start to dim and we can start to give up. And we can think again, like, well, I guess this is just adulting. This is just the way of life. I guess I'll just stay here unsparked. I guess that spark isn't normal, or isn't, like we can just decide that that going through the motions, living like a zombie, living for the weekends, being in a ton of, we can decide that that's our new normal. And so for about 5 years, I had to decide. I had to say, all right, am I going to figure this out because I knew what it was like to love what I was doing? Or was I going to stay in this place of like suckiness, but then accepting it, right, forever? Because how many people have lived there for years and years and years? Like, I knew people who lived there for 30 years, like, I hate my job, I hate my life, but I don't know what to do, so I'm going to stay. Like, no. Okay. So that's where I was in that stewing spot. And I think a lot of new distributors are there. I mean, a lot of people who say yes to this business are in a place where they're like, this isn't it. This isn't it, but I don't really know what to do. And so this is like a next step. So that was me. Now remember, I was not a business person. I was not a salesperson. I had no idea what I was doing. This is not something I ever expected. But I did meet my sponsor, Cami Dempsey, at our small group at Chirps. Cami Pentecost, I guess I should say now, at my small group at church. And so she and Carla Burns were in our small group together, and I started to get to know them, understanding a bit more of what we did. And my husband, who was an aerospace engineer, and I say the brains of the family, was like, a hot sizzle product that nobody knows about, we're in. And so we said yes, and we really had no experience. We didn't quite know what we were doing, but we just kept taking action. We showed up, we learned, we took action, we showed up, we learned, we tried it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It took us a year to go diamond, 2 years to go double, 3 years to go triple, 4 years to go Prez, 5 years to go ambassador, 8 years to go black diamond, and we've now been in for over 13 years. And within that time, we were able to pay off our first house. We also had to do IVF for our boys, and we paid cash for that. We paid off our first house. We've moved into our dream house. Let me see, Owen was 1 and he's almost 10. So 9 years ago, we've lived here for 9 years and been able to travel the world. And truly, to be honest, I think the biggest thing for me is feeling like I can help more people here than I really could at my other job, right? I found my spark again. I found that I could work with clients and help them with their health and energy and weight loss goals. I could work with distributors and help them step outside their comfort zone and help coach them to experiencing success in the business, which was a lot of things I was doing with my clients, helping them to create new habits and shift in their life. And so here I was able to find that spark. I was able to thrive. And for me, as a growth focused person, that is what kept me so in the game for so long. And then of course, getting to know Mark and Cindy and really seeing the vision of what a company like this can do for people. And then seeing it throughout my entire team has been a huge, huge blessing. So I know you've got more questions, so I'll stop there for now.
No, that's amazing. And so you were talking about that spark, and you were talking about new distributors and how a lot of new distributors, when they join, they're at that place of just complacency or unhappiness or whatever you want to call it, where they're like, this is not my thing. This is not what I was made to do. And they're really searching. So what do you think it is that not brings them in, but what do you think it is that keeps them here when it's hard? And maybe they're going to get a lot of no's, or they're going to have a really quick start and then things are going to slow down. What do you think it is that keeps people here?
Well, entrepreneurship is a marathon, not a sprint, right? And I think one of the best things we can do is keep our emotions off the roller coaster of, they said yes, yay, they said no, like, we want to try to be as even keel as possible. So what keeps people here? Okay, at least I know for me and the people that I've worked directly with, the thing that kept them here in the game was two things, I think, combined. The first one is community. When you feel like you belong here and you have friends here, it's way harder to leave, right? And I think for us, I mean, our friends were all doing this. We were having so much fun together. We knew that we were making money and that we had goals, but we were also enjoying the journey. And so even when it was a slower season, because remember, we went for 3-4 years uphill before Facebook even came. And by the time social media came, we had a firm foundation and it just skyrocketed. I really do think Facebook, and Instagram later, put gas on the fire. But for the first few years, it felt like we were rolling a rock uphill, and you're like, come on, someone's got to want to do it with me. And so it was the community that kept us in the game. The other thing was finding my place within the team. And I think that's an interesting thing to think about because everybody's personality is different. Some people really thrive on numbers and spreadsheets, right? They're more of a green personality. I would put them in charge of doing our compliance talks, because they're all about rules. And I'm like, there's rules what? So we would try to find homes within our team that would really help everybody, but they would feel their value. And I think for me, I found my place within our team, and I found friendships here. So even when I was having a hard day, I knew I wasn't alone, and I always had somebody to call.
That's so good. So community, and then money. What's your other?
Oh, the other one was just like finding a place to thrive.
Okay. Sorry. I need to. Sometimes my brain does not work.
Well, and it's funny that you say money because I think money is what gets them in and it might not be what keeps them here. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you're like, I want to make $500 a month, and then you have a rough patch, you're like, never mind, I don't need it. I mean, how many times are we like, I'm going to eat healthy today, and by noon we're like, never mind. Because there's two things that need to happen. If we have the accountability of the community and we feel like we have a place within the community, like they'll notice if we don't show up, that kind of thing, that's just more accountability, which is deeper than the money, mm-hmm. Which is why when we sign new distributors, we're like, how much do you want to make? Why? And then why? Why do you want to make this? Why do you want to make this? Why will this impact your family? Why do you want to go on vacation? Why do you want to pay off your debt? Why do you want to? Because the why is going to be what keeps you in, and then telling your team that why will help to build those roots. So money is a great goal, but it often isn't the motivator necessarily. The why behind that is the motivator.
For sure. Okay, you guys, we are going to be doing Q&A with Denise. So if you have questions, post them. I have other questions we're going to keep asking. So as you guys are brainstorming and want to drop stuff in there, you can. So what was your best year income-wise with It Works?
Can I tell those numbers?
Can you? Is that not allowed?
Yes, I can totally tell you. Just don't post about it on Facebook. Just put an income disclosure next to it. Okay.
I've never asked you that. That's a good question.
Our highest month, I remember our highest month, I was driving because Owen was actually, it was a couple years ago now, and he was taking a nap and I didn't want to stop the car. So he would wake up. So I was driving around like our country roads, and I was at a stop sign and I saw someone text, checks are posted. So I checked it on my phone in the car. With Owen sleeping in the back, and you just start shaking. You know what I mean? You're like, holy freaking cow. And in our highest check, the CAB bonus, the customer acquisition bonus, which is now the leadership level bonus, was $86,000 in just that one piece of the check. I mean, it's insane. And so the cool thing about our compensation plan is that you can get paid through the depth of the compensation, like through the depth of your team, the layers of bonuses that have no cap. So as long as you continue to recruit and train, you are going to create these leadership level runs, as they're called, where somebody you just meet will go triple in 6 months, and all of those people you get those bonuses on, and it's a super powerful bonus. And so that was our highest check. That was a piece of our highest check.
Piece of your highest check.
A piece of our highest check.
Piece of your highest year. That's incredible. How many six-figure earners do you have on your team, or how many six-figure earners did you have on your team in your best year?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, because we go by like, what was your month check? I don't ask them what their year was.
Right.
Yeah, we're a different breed, It's like, when you're in the corporate world, you're like, this is what I make a year, and it works. We're like, this is what we make per month. That's what the language is, and that's what we talk about each month. And so I've never asked them what their 1099 was necessarily.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay.
But I can tell you, I'll tell you this. So as a Black Diamond, I'd have to recount, but I think we've had 10 or less ambassadors on our team.
Mhm.
So I think sometimes you think that you need, and our highest volume was 4 million a month. And that was a few years ago. And so, you know, I think sometimes you think that you need, I mean, I don't know, Joel and Steph have hundreds of ambassadors, right? Well, we have like 10 probably. So it's just interesting to see that we can both go Black Diamond and our teams look pretty different. And the reason why they have higher volume and higher, you know, promotions and stuff, they just have more people. But we had a lot of coding and a lot of personally enrolled and it was really high, close to the top of our team.
So can you talk about that for just a second? Because that was actually mentioned recently in some leadership chats that I'm in, just placing higher and wider versus deeper, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that when you're building to ambassador ultimately, because we're all building to ambassador?
Right. You know, I think it depends on you and it depends on the season of the company and the season of the year. There's no right or wrong way to do it because you don't necessarily want 70 people on your top line, but you do want the strength to be within your first 6 levels. So again, everybody's strategy is different. It depends on how many you're recruiting. If you're recruiting 10 a month, then you would want to build teams to help with training, right? So it's not just all on you. And it just really depends. But I think the goal is focused on promotion and really a strong promotion, because if you go fast, it sometimes can crumble because it's not as solid. When we hit diamond, we had way more than 10,000 in volume, you know, when we hit, so because it took us a year to get there. So we were brewing for all of that time. So I don't want to say like, here's the exact strategy because it really depends on you and your team. But sometimes you're just going to place because your promotion is important to you and nobody cares more about your promotion than you do. So sometimes you are going to place and you are going to make it happen because you cannot trust everybody else to make it happen for your team or for your business and for your promotion. Like go get your stinking bonus. But there's also seasons when you don't need to place on your 14th level and you really are wanting to build solid organizations with leaders who can take over. So one of the things we did well was, and this is again when the compensation plan was a little different and we had 5 on my top line and 5 on Brandon's top line. And I really took care of those 10 people. And I would say my job is to take care of you 10 people. Your job is to take care of your 10 people. And your job is to take care of your 10 people. So I placed within their teams. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was recruiting and I would place within those teams. But I would say, this is your leader, Lisa. She's awesome. You're going to love her. Let's do a 3-way call and get to know her. Lisa's now in charge. And then I'd say, hey, Lisa, how's Sally? You know what I mean? So I'm still around. I know what's happening, but I'm really training the leader to take over because the goal, you guys, right, is I want to be on the beach. So I don't want to build a team or create a team where I'm the expert. I want to create experts and I want to go to the beach. That's the end goal. And so I really worked to create those leaders and worked closely with them so they felt confident to lead their own teams. So we did a lot of team calls, like with just, you know, that leg. We did a lot of leadership development with those 10 people. We would do group stuff with just the 10. So they had sideline connections and those types of things that really helped foster that.
I love that. I love that. Okay. I feel like this is such a good question. What changes did it take to go from diamond to triple and then from from diamond to triple and then from triple to ambassador and then from ambassador to Black Diamond? Because those are 3 drastically different income levels. And a lot of people on here are just right now trying to get to diamond.
Mm-hmm. Well, now remember, I went Black Diamond 2015. Mm-hmm. So I went ambassador in 2013. I don't know when I went diamond. These are things, you guys, when you promote, you should write it down and really remember, because
5 years prior.
it matters for your story.
You started in
So I went diamond 2008.
Yes.
Triple in 2010 because we quit our jobs. That we were making 30 grand a month at Triple. Like, that's the thing when it's just like, it's yes, go for the promotion, but there's so much other stuff going on that you can. Pam would always say to me, why is your check so high and your volume so low? And I would say, thanks, Pam. I don't know. I'm guessing it's because I have a lot of personally enrolled, the volume's close to the top, and I get a lot of cabs, or leadership level bonuses. So, but I can tell you a couple really major shifts that I had throughout. The first major shift was when I realized, oh, this is funny, it's bringing back memories, when I realized I could do this. Now, remember, my sponsor is Cami Pentecost, and she's an expert at everything, and she owns the room. And when I came to parties with her, she's like, I'm here, like, woo, everybody, she's the life of the party. And I would think things like, good for you, I can't do that. Like, that's not me. And so there was a couple years in the business that I would say, good for you, Cami, but I don't know if I could do that. In fact, she told me her goal was to beat her dad. So Mark made in his previous company, he made like 76,000 or 72,000 a month as his highest. And so Cami would often tell me that was her goal, to like beat her dad. And I would say, that's crazy. Who needs that kind of money? Like, I don't understand. So for me, I was hanging around people who were dreaming, who were talking like that, who had experienced that. I mean, again, we would hang out at Mark and Cindy's house. We'd go to Pam's because that was the only people there. And so I got to have my vision lifted a bit and cast because I was hanging around those people. So the first thing was to get around the people who have and are doing that kind of thing, because you want to understand that it's possible and that that people are doing it. Like, step one, it's happening. And so I really started to see that it was happening to other people, but I would often say, good for you. I don't know if I can do that. And I remember Cami called me one day and she said, Denise, you're number 2. She was number 1 and we were number 2. And I thought she called everyone and told them that, because I didn't quite believe in myself. And I was like, sure. Yeah, right. But when I realized she was serious and that we really were number 2 in the company, I remember thinking like, holy freaking cow, I'm good at this. I can do this. And I think that flip of the switch was like, I'm good at this. That really was a big game changer for me, because before I was like, I'm a network, I'm a clinical psychologist who happens to sell wraps. But then I became like, no, I'm an entrepreneur. This is my business. And I can help you here. And you can thrive here. And I really became much more bold in how I was speaking about it. And I think it was that flip of the switch of really like, I can do this. I can do this. And for me, it was the validation of, experiencing some of that success, because you never know. I mean, I just didn't know how I was doing. So that was a big one for me.
That's huge. That's so huge.
I mean, I was constantly reading though. I mean, Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Jack Canfield, I was constantly reading, and then I was teaching. So learn, do, teach, learn, do, teach. So I was learning, and then I was doing it with my local team, and I was teaching it to my downline on conference calls and stuff. So I was constantly learning and constantly teaching, constantly learning and constantly teaching. And what made that so fun was I was excited about what I was teaching, because it was new for me. I had just went to a party and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, this worked. Have everybody check out afterwards. Rather than saying, let me know if you want an order, we would say, all right, well, I'm going to check you out. What would you like? And just even that verbiage alone made us get more orders. So I was excited about it. And then I would teach it. And again, that excitement. And I saw somebody say, it was the energy transfer. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. The energy transfer to my leads, but then also to my team. Like, this is working. This is awesome. This is exciting. You can do it too. Because how many of our team are like, good for you, Denise. I don't know if I could do this. good for you, Noelle. You're a special breed. I don't know if I can do this. And so to give them the space to have their own aha moment where they can go, I can do this too. And so how do we do that? We give them a stage, we're like, oh my gosh, you're really good at signing customers. Can you share with us what you're doing? Oh my gosh, you just earned your free product. Can you share with us what you're doing? We're just creating a space for them to grow as well. And I think you don't need a stage to tell your story. Like, people can gain so much from everybody sharing their story along the way. So we worked to do that too.
I love that. So, okay, so this is just like a totally off-topic question. When somebody back in the day, not now, because now you're like an author and oh my gosh, you do so much. But back in the day, when, let's say you're a diamond and people said, what do you do? What would you say?
Well, what I learned to say, and again, at Diamond, I was still working. I didn't quit until we were a triple. So I would probably say, I'm a clinical psychologist and I have a wrap business. I'm an entrepreneur. I work in, I would say I'm an entrepreneur and I own my own business. Mm-hmm. And then what I also learned to say is, and you can too, because again, people will often say, good for you. And then the conversation doesn't keep going. So, I'm an entrepreneur and I work from my home. I work from my phone is really what I started with.
And you can too.
And you can too. Exactly.
That's like an easy blitz, right?
Yeah. Well, we were blitzing before there were blitz cards.
And nobody knows what a blitz is now because.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? I feel like, so somebody asked if you built your business through HAPS, which is really funny because HAPS didn't exist until 2017, 2018. Mm-hmm. 2018, I think. We're right around there. That's when it became a thing. And so social media was,
we did everything, you guys. We did expos, we did parties, we did blitzing days with our team where we'd go around and hand out coupons and go to salons and chiropractors. We would do teachers lounges and go and set up stuff there and pass out cards and do teacher appreciation. We certainly did social media when that came, but we had our hands on a little bit of everything because you never know who's ready. And I think that's the thing, is our job isn't to convince people who aren't ready. Our job is to find people who are looking. And so we want to have so many feelers out there that they say, oh my gosh, I've been praying for you. You're like, thank you, let's go. So we did a lot of that. Things have changed, of course, over the past year. And thank goodness we have social media because it's really allowed us to continue to thrive. But so no, I didn't do host to post back then. It wasn't a thing yet.
Not yet. Okay. How do you find the drive to keep going when only a small percentage of your team is putting in the amount of effort that you are personally exhibiting?
Good question. I think my hardest promotion was between Ruby and Emerald, because Ruby, you can do it all yourself, but Emerald, you need people to be working too. And so I remember thinking, I don't know if I can do this between Ruby and Emerald. I don't know if I'm good at this. This is so outside my comfort zone. I'm just not quite sure how this is going to go. And during that time, I really had to connect with my team, connect with my downline, but also connect with my upline and sidelines too. Connect with that community. Because the more I showed up and I was with those dreamers, the more confidence I started to feel. And really, you guys, this is a numbers game, period. And so I just had to keep finding people until I found the ones that were hungry enough to really partner with me and go. So I often thought to myself, what kept me here? And then I tried to create that type of culture within my team. But I know not everybody's going to pick up what I'm laying down. You know what I mean? And so I can't be responsible for someone's success, and I can't be responsible for somebody not even starting. And so I really just had to say, I'm here and we can totally help you if you want to. I know for me, the first month is really my job to create habit for them, because their habit is not to work their business, and a new distributor's habit is not to call me. We're not friends yet often. And so I had to create habit in the first month, and that's on me. So I'm connecting with them. I'm scheduling calls with them. I'm booking parties with them. We're doing virtual parties. We're doing whatever. And what I found is really within the first 3 weeks, I could tell if somebody was hungry or not, because they'd stop answering or they wouldn't show up to a scheduled call, you know? And so, but if they were hungry, then within that first month, we would be friends, and I wouldn't have to schedule it so much. You know, it wouldn't have to be so formal, because we would just be talking more consistently. So I did that. And the ones that dropped off, I didn't keep chasing. I just really tried to find more people. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we stare at them, you know, we're like, I signed 5 people. What'd you do today? What'd you do today? Did you do anything today? Did you do anything today? And we just want to remember to continue to sign our own as well.
That's good. Okay. How do you give birth to a renewed confidence in yourself once you've slipped several ranks down in pay? Has there ever been a time that you've lost ambassador?
Not ambassador, but 2.0 went triple in a year, and then it's now diamond. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, when you grow fast, it doesn't always stay. And I think the thing to remember is that, like, the cool thing about this business is that you can restart at any time and really kind of get your head back into the game. So personal development is huge if you feel like you're in a funk. Really consistently journaling and listening and, you know, doing the things to keep yourself on track. Motivation is what will get you started, but discipline is what is going to get you through the finish line. Mm-hmm. So if you feel stuck, there's a few things I want you to do, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the discipline that really carries you through. But I've certainly felt like stuck before. And so the thing that I've developed, and this is part of the Design Your Dream Life book that I created after the Black Diamond experience. And I saw somebody ask that question, so I can definitely tell that story. But the Dream Life pathway is your head, heart, and feet. So head is, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Really, what do you want? So many times you guys were like, whatever, I'll just survive. You know what I mean? And we really get to ask ourselves, well, what do we really want out of life? Like, what do we really want? Do we want to travel? Do we want to pay off our house? Do we want, like, what do we want? And really getting clear. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing like I want to be Oprah. It can be, I want date nights with my spouse, and we need to have a babysitter, and we need to, you know, it can be consistent. It just needs to be intentional. So what do I want? And then you want to emotionally connect with that, and that's your heart. And so emotionally connecting with what it is you want means that you grow your belief and excitement around it. And this is where we get into your why. Why do you want this? Why do you want to make an extra $500 a month? Why do you want to make an extra $5,000 a month? Really, why do you want it? And then growing your belief to get it. Because if you say, I want $500 a month, but then you go, yeah, right, you're not going to get it. So we want to really align our heart with what it is we want. So when we say, I want $500 a month, we're like, heck yeah, girl, on it, happening. You know what I mean? And then feet is all about action. And this is truly the discipline of this business. And I often say, I don't work my business based on how I feel. I work this business based on what I want, because I know what I want. And it's just a matter of taking that action. And so often in the moment, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like calling leads. I don't feel like, after a long day with the boys, homeschooling now, holy cow, that I want to, you know what I mean? But I know what I want. And so I focus on that. So motivation gets you started, but discipline carries you through.
That's so good. Okay. So we have a couple of questions about just what it took for you to go Black Diamond. And I know that you've shared that a ton, but somebody specifically asked if you would just talk a little bit about how you listen to The Strangest Secret every single day, and the impact that made.
Yes. Okay. So my Black Diamond story, I can give you guys the short version, is a 3-year journey. The first year I thought it was in the bag, and I would often think about how it might not happen. we're going Black Diamond, but like, we'll see, ha ha ha. Wouldn't that be so funny if we missed it by a few $1,000s? And I started really thinking 98, 98, 98, 98, 98. Well, after 4 months of over 101 check, the 5th month was 98. And Pam called me and she said, Denise, you didn't make it. And I said, Pam, I've been thinking about 98 all month long. And she said, Denise, you did it to yourself. And I was like, now remember, it's not about the money. It's not about the check. It's about the goal and not hitting it. So I think we all can understand that, like, you set a goal and then you missed it, right? It's a bit discouraging, disappointing. I'm sure we've all experienced that on some level. So the second year in 2014, I said, we're going Black Diamond. But in my heart of hearts, I was like pissed about it. I was mad. I was like, yeah, right. We'll see if that happens. And I think part of it is I felt a bit vulnerable. I don't want to say I want this goal and then have it not happen again. How embarrassing, right? And so I self-sabotaged a bit by saying the right things, but really not believing it and really not going for it. I was doing the action, but it wasn't with that energy level of someone who wanted to really raise their check that much. And so year 3 came and we were like, dude, if we're going to do something different, if we want something different, we got to do something different. And we weren't going to coast into this promotion. Like, it wasn't just going to randomly happen. And so the few things that we did that year was we planned a party at the zoo in Grand Rapids. It was called the Treehouse. We created, and we had everybody at their seat had binoculars that said, where there is no vision, the people perish. We talked all about vision that night. We had people dressed as though it was the year 2025. In order to prepare for that party, we had people do exercises like 30 things you want to be, do, and have, the what do I want exercise, your dream day, all these types of things to really help people grow their vision and grow their excitement about the vision. And so we showed up to this party and we're just chit-chatting about, like, people had their dream houses on their phone and they're like, oh, I just moved in. We're like, oh, I haven't seen you in forever. How's it been? And, it was super fun to talk about all the experiences and accomplishments we've had over the years. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Black Diamond by now, triple Black Diamond, woo. And Mark texted me that night at the party, and he said, Denise, you guys made month 5. And so then we got the microphone and we were like, holy cow, this is crazy. Like, we just made month 5 and all of our leaders are here. Like, what? This was like so divine, right? So then we had a whole month left to get month 6. And this is when we, again, were like, all right, here we go. Throughout this season, we were listening to The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale every single day. It's 30 minutes. It's free on YouTube. And he basically talks about, you become what you think about. So think about who you want to become. And anytime a fear-based thought would happen, so I'd say, we're going Black Diamond. And then a little piece of me would be like, hope so. Yeah, right. I'm not sure. I don't know. What if it doesn't happen? How embarrassing would that be? I'd still have some of that fear that would bubble up. But instead of allowing that to overflow or even to like stay long, I immediately would go 113, 113, 113, 113, 113, 113, 113. I had it everywhere. You guys, we have to remind ourselves what it is we want, because when we get emotionally drained, when we're tired, when we've had a long day, we will forget. And so I had to put it everywhere. I put it on my computer, I put it in my car, I put it on my mirror, 113, 113, every day in my shower, like 113 on the wall, because I want that to be louder than the natural fears and self-doubt that's going to come. It's going to come no matter who you are or what you've experienced. That's so normal. And so what I learned is that that's a part of the journey. And it does not mean anything. I do not need to give it power. I do not need to, there's times when you need to heal through grief and really try to like get to the root. Sometimes you just say, that's not me. And you focus on what you want instead. And so that is what we did that 3rd year, is we grew what we want to be. It was so loud that even though the fear was there, it did not have much power. We consistently, and this is where power hours were born, because we were like, we don't need to do more training. People know what to do. We need to chart and work. And so we did power hours that last month, Monday through Thursday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we it was just and it was a team effort, and everybody was so excited about it. And so yeah, when we opened the 6-month check ended up being 131. And then I'm like, whoa, thank you for dyslexia. But I think at the end of the day, what do you want? Why do you want it? And what will it take to get there? And really, when you can put it in your calendar and stick with it, you will see results. You will. It's just a matter of time.
That's incredible. I love your Black Diamond story. Okay, so do you believe our words and actions matter as leaders in paving the way for a winning team?
Absolutely. People are going to follow people who know where they're going and they believe can take them where they want to go. So if your words and actions are not casting that vision, meaning, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 would be like a super confident rock star distributor, and we all want to sign 10s, right? Somebody who's like, oh yeah, I already got 4 customers. Like we want to find those people that already have a network, that already have success skills, that already have experienced something in their life, so they've grown a bit, right? And we can't sign 10s if we're a 2. Now, I have to say, I would say I was a confidence level of a 4 when I started. It doesn't mean we can't grow. We all can grow, and we can eventually get there, but you're going to recruit your confidence level and below. So I had to grow myself to be a 10 so I could then recruit 10s. And I think our words and actions as leaders really exemplify our confidence level. Are we speaking life into our team? Are we somebody that they trust? Are we somebody that they believe will help them and be there for them? And, that kind of stuff. What atmosphere are we creating? And that's a powerful place. Are we creating a team culture that will thrive? Or are we creating a team culture that's whining and complaining and bickering and drama? And, who wants to be around that?
Right. So what's some of your favorite personal development, especially for self-discipline and for personal belief?
So my favorite self-discipline book is Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. That was one of the books I read that was like, oh yeah, this is it. Like it doesn't have to be a huge shift. It's just a half an hour every day will really take you in a different direction. And so the Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, Success Principles by Jack Canfield was a huge game changer for me as well. That's where the Come As You Will Be party came from. And then I ended up doing coaching and things with him, and I love all of that stuff. So that was a big one. And Tony Robbins at the beginning, I think I listened to Awaken the Giant Within while I was running back in the day, and there were some really powerful moments there.
Okay. How do you feel, how do you make this work, juggling a family, right? I know we've got a lot of people on here who have kids, they have jobs, they're homeschooling, they're trying to do this business. And this year in general has just been crazy overwhelming for people. And I feel like so many people are trying to figure out, will this still work? How do I make this work? And a lot of people have even taken a step back and they're like, is this worth it? Right? Like, did I hear you say at one point that your very first check was like $23 or something?
I think my first check was, I wish it was in the system still. I think it was $87 the first month, the first full month. Yeah. I mean, I know I froze in March. You're kind of like, what is happening in the world? And now we have other things that we're taking care of, and it feels chaotic. And I think the first thing is to give yourself some grace. Like, that's okay. It's totally okay. It doesn't, it's okay, process some of this stuff, right? But what I know is that often, working my normal job would not allow me the space to pay off my debt, period. And in this kind of crazy, chaotic year, how glad are we that we can work from home? How grateful are we that we have this option? And so it's a powerful time to build an online at-home business, because we don't know how long this is going to last. And building this up is like our best shot. Like this is, you know what I mean? Like if all the options are out there, like this is a stinking amazing option to create like unlimited income from your phone. This is something you absolutely want to have as a priority right now, especially if you have other jobs that you eventually could get out of. This is a company and a product and a time in the world where you really can use this vehicle to shape your family in a new way. So time management wise, because I know what it's like to feel like I don't have time, or I don't have energy. Like, dude, I've been running around with these kids and they're yelling all day and I don't have energy to like sit down. I just want to veg out. Or I remember I would be working and I would be talking with somebody about like going to the hospital because they're suicidal. And then I'm like, so you want wraps? You know, like sometimes it's an emotional shift as well, like getting out of your day-to-day job that's overwhelming and you've got all this pressure or all of these things, and then being like, okay, so can I get you skinny brew, please? You know, let me do a story. And so what I would recommend to those that want to make this work, the first thing is to decide you want to promote and you want to make this work. The second thing is to figure out how it can work for you. And you don't need to do this business for 10 to 12 hours a day for it to work for you. I honestly would believe like an hour of focused work, not training, right? But focused work a day, you will see results, meaning you're generating leads and you're following up with leads. At the beginning, that is your only job. You're generating leads and you're following up with leads. You're generating leads and you're following up with leads. You're building your network. You're establishing your authority as an expert in this field, meaning health and wellness or skincare or leadership or business or whatever it is. Because you're creating that content as well. And really you can do it in an hour a day, a half hour in the morning, half hour at night. And the biggest thing is to put it in your calendar and then stick with it. And that's where the discipline comes from. And you can even say, all right, I'm going to be consistent for 6 months and really see what happens. Because I know you'll see a shift. I just know you will. And I know that when you share with people what the products are doing for you, you will have people sign up. And it's just going to start to snowball. But it does take that consistency and it does take that discipline to do it. So decide you want it and then figure out how and when within your day you can make it happen. And then I'll end with this question is oftentimes this business gives us energy. So I would say to myself after a long day of work, I'm so tired. Can't add one more thing. But I made a goal to call 5 people on my drive home. I knew not all of them would answer. And remember, this is before Facebook voice messages and whatever, but I made it a goal to connect with 5 people on my drive home. And the days I did that, by the time I got home, I was so much more excited to keep working. Mm-hmm. This business gives us energy. So if we can just get ourselves started, we will be more apt to continue going. And remember that this business isn't draining, you know, it's actually giving us purpose and giving us life.
Mm-hmm. So just, you can correct me if you disagree, but I have found that this year I've had to be so much more flexible within my daily to-dos. And so even if I create my schedule before I go to bed and the next day I'm like, okay, we are going to start homeschool at 8 a.m. And then by 9, we're going to do this. And at 10, we're going to do this. And then the whole world falls to pieces and our day is just a disaster. But I still have those to-dos for my kids, for my family, for my business. And I have to like restructure those things in. But I've just learned to be more flexible within what I have to do, and try not to stress out about it. I'm kind of a control freak, so I need more confianza. But like, what are your thoughts on just getting it done around your family?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, really, before when they were in school, I had 9 to 3. Mm-hmm. And then when they came home for virtual school, I was like, if I'm on the phone or on Zooms all day, they are playing video games. Mm-hmm. So I had to reschedule my day to be like, I at least have an hour break in between calls because, they can't play Minecraft all day long. So I had to figure out my schedule to better fit them. And sometimes you have to get up later or earlier, and sometimes you stay up later. And I do think the time when you do it doesn't matter in terms of your lead necessarily. It really just matters when it fits in for you. And you can set a timer. 30 minutes of uninterrupted effort will give you results. And I think that's when we give ourselves grace. You know, we're not stuck in a box. We get to be the CEOs of our business. So decide those KPIs that you are going to do, get them done as when it works for your schedule. And then, you know, we can thrive in all areas. We can be a great mom or dad, and we can be a great business woman. You know, we can be the CEO as well. So you're not alone, that's for sure.
I love it. Well, will you just end by just sharing with us your books you have behind you? I want everybody to see your Dream Life Journal, all of your things, and then tell us where we can get them, because those are phenomenal.
Yes, I did not set up my beautiful background. It's all messy back there. But so after Black Diamond, people kept asking me, how do you do it? Tell me what to do. If I were a fly on the wall, give me your secrets. And I was like, I can't just like message you back something like, well, this is my secret. Like, you know what I mean? I really did start saying, listen to the strangest secret and tell me what you think. That was my answer, because I'm like, I don't understand how I can give you 10 years of wisdom in a message. But so I started really thinking, well, what did it take? Like, what was it? What is the secret sauce, right? And I wrote Design Your Dream Life to help really weave through. So we teach the Dream Life Pathway, head, heart, feet. It combines science and scripture. So it combines quantum physics, epigenetics, retraining your brain, like my psychology stuff, along with scripture, when you realize Jesus taught this whole time. So there's exercises in here that you can do to experience your own breakthroughs. And this really was created out of like the 3 years it took us to go Black Diamond. And you'll see some of that story in here as well. And then we realized that once you know what you want and you really are clear, then you need to do something every single day. And so we created 2 journals, Dream Life Daily Journal and Dream Life Every Day, that focus on the consistent habit of, your morning routine. So it has your day, and then it has morning prayer, eyes wide open. Eyes wide open was created because I'm sure you guys have seen coaching calls where you're like, it's not working. And somebody calls, it's not working. I don't know what to do. Nothing's working. And you're like, well, I'm sure something is. So let's talk about that. So Eyes Wide Open is focused on what is working in your life, a gratitude game to raise your emotional body. And then there's a section for being before we do. And I think that being that heart center before we take that action is the secret sauce. When we embody it, when we Care Bear stare what we want and what we expect, and like our dreams out into the world, like it will start to come back to you. So these 3 are all on Amazon. Yep. So the 2 journals and the book.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to just impart your wisdom to us tonight. This was amazing. And if you guys got some value out of this tonight, just drop a 1 in the chat, because I thought that this was amazing. And I definitely had an aha moment. So I want to thank you so much for your time tonight.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, you are at the right place. You're at the right time. I mean, no other time in history has owning a digital-based social media marketing business been such a hot commodity. Like, people need what we have, and you are going to change so many lives because you're offering this to them. So keep up the good work, and let's go do this thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Denise.
Have an awesome night.
Bye, guys.